Hello everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Russell Reacts. Now, last time I obviously reacted to the Sonic 3 movie trailer, and I thought that was very interesting, and I liked the way that it was going, and I'm very excited to see it. Now, this one, I'm gonna say this right now, I might get a little emotional. As you guys may know, I am a massive superhero fan. I mean, I love a lot of kinds of superheroes. I mean, I love Batman, Spider-Man, but the one I always grew up with, and the one I will consider to be my favorite superhero of all time, is Superman. I mean, he was the first one I really grew up with as a kid. And in particular, the one series of Superman films I always grew up with as a kid were the Christopher Reeve films. I mean, that's why I have, them on DVD, Blu-ray, and now with the, obviously this wasn't recent, you guys know, if you guys have been on the channel for a while, you guys would already know this, and I got the recent 4K box set of all of them, so I'm a massive fan of those films, and obviously, if you guys are aware of those films, which, if I had to guess, a lot of you really aren't, then, obviously you would know the actor, Christopher Reeve, and you would know what happened to him after the final film was released in '87. Obviously by doing, your own research and stuff like that. But there was never really a full-on, piece that, people were talking about. It was kind of more about, it was more just put into other Superman documentaries. But now we have finally gotten a trailer for this brand new Christopher Reeve documentary called Super/Man, the Christopher Reeve Story. And from what I've heard, it basically goes over his life as Superman, doing the films and stuff like that, and then what happened afterwards. So I'm very interested to see how this plays out, and I hope you guys will join me on the ride as well, because again, really haven't reacted to this, so I'm I'm a little, I would say a little nervous, and not in the way I'm like, oh, I'm scared how this trailer's gonna go. I'm just a little nervous about what they're gonna show in this trailer, overall. But, I think without further ado, let's get into this, and, like I said, this, might be an emotional one for me, so, just be ready for that. So, anyway, let's get into it.
Everybody's looking for a hero. I am not a hero. That was a part. I played the part. I'm not that man.
God, I need to watch these films again.
Hands down, he was Superman from day one.
I realized that if I could pull off this part, it would change my life.
John Houseman said, Mr. Reeve, it is very important to become a serious classical actor. Unless, of course, they offer you a load of money to do something else.
He convinced me when I first met him that he would fly.
Doing things with my dad, it was all about activity and action. Riding bikes, playing soccer, skiing.
My dad was very competitive, and he didn't necessarily slow down.
We said goodbye, and he gave this wave. That was the last time I saw him on his feet.
Mr. Reeve currently has no movement or spontaneous respiration.
Superman, crazy. Just that simple little thing over the horse.
I'd ruined my life and everybody else's. I won't be able to ski, sail, throw a ball to Will. Won't be able to make love to Dana. Maybe we should let me go.
She came flying in, and she just yelled, "I love you. I love you."
And then she said the words that saved my life. You're still you, and I love you.
He and Robin were such good friends because they could match each other.
Robin also had struggles that he dealt with his whole life, and I think that they both were aware of darkness.
Brother Chris is fighting like crazy. When you find people who fight like that but still keep their humanity, that gives you great hope.
That is tough because I can feel him, but he can't feel me.
It must have been hell for my mom, too, knowing what she had lost.
I felt I needed to do something, not just for myself, but for everyone else in the same condition.
The fact that Superman was in a wheelchair and was willing to go public with it was huge.
Help is on the way.
The Christopher and Dana Reeve paralysis.
People are literally walking because of him.
What is a hero? My answer was that a hero is someone who commits a courageous action without considering the consequences. Now my definition is completely different. I think a hero is an ordinary individual who finds the strength to persevere and endure in spite of overwhelming obstacles. I wouldn't have missed this for the world.
Wow. 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 It's hard to just gather words right now. I think, whoa. I could barely comprehend words right now. This is insane. I think that was amazing. Okay. I don't know how I'm gonna try and go over this without getting emotional. I like the fact that we started off with clips from the films. Like we started off with Superman 2 clips, then Superman 1. Kind of just went, showed off like, this is shit that, this is what we know him as. Like this is the Superman. And I like also the fact that they included archival footage from the 2006 DVDs of Richard Donner talking about him as a man and how he basically was Superman for a lot of people, including himself. And yeah, I remember seeing these when I was younger, like kind of just doing my own research about the films and stuff like that. And yeah, that was just learning all about the production of the film was really interesting. And then to go over all of this, basically how he really was like he wanted to do everything. Like he wanted to, if there was a sport that they could play, he could do, go and do it. If they could go swimming somewhere, he wanted to do that. Like he was so active. Go horse riding, all of this stuff, and he was so active, and like always just was there for everyone, for his kids. And then that moment happened in, I think, 95. And then he I don't know if this was the footage. Because it doesn't look that painful, like the horse shot, like the footage. Like it looks like just a standard fall, like onto like the arm. I mean, it could have been, for all I know. It pains me to look back at this footage where he's just like sitting there, not being able to do anything, and like trying to hold on for dear life. And I'm trying trying really hard not to start crying right now. But it's just horrible to see how he was. I also do like the fact that they added a little bit of his friendship with Robin Williams. Like that was, I like that because a lot of people don't know that Robin Williams and Christopher Reeve were friends. Like they would hang out a lot, go and just chat and stuff like that. And I think even during the production of Hook in '91, Robin came to Chris asking him about advice for the flying scenes, like how he should move around on with the wires, make sure they don't snap on him or break. And I think, I could be wrong, but I think it was Hook where the harness that Robin was using even had Christopher Reeve's name like written into it. I'm not sure if it was for Hook or for something else, but I always found that like really, really interesting. But yeah, I like that it does mention Robin a lot, or at least for like a little bit. But yeah, like I'm looking back at all of this and I'm just getting hit with like wave after wave of just like the fact that he was in a state where he could not really do anything, like at all, and yet still decided like he was paralyzed from basically the neck down. He couldn't breathe, so that's why you see this like tube here. It's basically, I believe, it's surgically implanted in his actual throat just so that he can breathe. The fact that, like I said, he couldn't do anything. He couldn't even breathe properly. And the fact that he went public with it and just did the most that he could do with the time that he had, with the state that he was in. Like, he was losing hair a lot. Like, this was 90s footage, and then you cut to here, like, this in the 2000s, and he has, like, no hair. And it's just... It's amazing. And then what kills me every time I think about that is, I get, people have opinions. People have opinions online, or just anywhere in general about, food, a place, a show, a movie, a game. No matter what it is, people are going to have opinions on it, no matter what. And, for someone who grew up with the Christopher Reeve Superman movies, I hold them in high regard, even if, 3 and 4 aren't as good as 1 and 2. I still enjoy them. I still watch them consistently, and I still always have a blast watching them. And then to hear people go and say, like, oh, these Christopher Reeve movies are shit. They aren't my Superman. Man of Steel is a more representative look of Superman. And that hurts. That genuinely does, because, like, I'll go on and say I actually kind of like Man of Steel. I won't lie. But is it the definitive Superman movie? No. Fuck no. Of course not. It is a representation of how Superman would work in our modern civilization, with people who are pretty much not civil people most of the time, if that makes sense. And what I mean by that is they, most of the time people hate, they, belittle people, and, they, misogyny is a thing. Whether or not people agree, like it or not, it's a thing. And, Man of Steel was like, how can we make a Superman movie in this sort of society where people are really kind of just, they don't like, certain people that they don't like, or like just different ethics, different races. And then so what do you get in a, like, what would happen in a society where that's a thing, and then an alien comes down with superpowers and could basically level the city, but he obviously chooses not. But then fights, other alien creatures to try and save them and destroys buildings. Or like just, the risk of, hurting people. How would you think, people would think through that? And I think in that sense, it's actually a really good interpretation. But as a film overall, it has problems. But if you want a really accurate interpretation of Superman, you really go to the Christopher Reeve Superman movies. In terms of live action, there's obviously the animated shows and movies, which obviously have their different portrayals. You know, people like those. I even like some of them. But I think if you really want to get a definitive look at what Superman is, you go to the Christopher Reeve films. At least 1 and 2. 3 is more of a comedy where Superman kind of takes a backseat to Richard Pryor, which I will admit people probably won't like. But I still enjoy it. And then 4 it has its own plot issues, but it still is really more of a continuation of, you know, what was, you know, the Superman character that was in 1 and 2 and, you know, a little bit in 3. And yeah, to hear people say, you know, oh, that's not my Superman, and, you know, just going shit all over those films, it hurts as someone who is a genuine fan of those, knowing that they probably don't know what happened to Christopher Reeve after those films. He had a thriving career. You know, he did several films in between, you know, all the Superman movies and even afterwards. But then once that accident happened in 95, it was just, it seemed like it was over for him. And the fact that people were willing on helping him, and the fact that he was willing on pushing through all of the pain that he was going through and survive like for like at least another decade is it's so like he was legit a definition of a superhero. And then, like I said, to hear people just shit on his films because that's not their Superman, it fucking hurts. It hurts so much because when you know the backstory, you know, or what happened to him afterwards, it hurts so much. And it hurt. But the thing is with this, it gives me hope that people, at least the modern generation, over the last at least 2 decades, can, you know, when this documentary comes out, they really have a full-on evaluation of Christopher Reeve as an actor, you know, and as this, you know, as a Superman, because honestly, it really does. I think it would definitely shed some light on how people really look at his character, and just as him as a whole. And then, like I said, or I was gonna say this screen alone, this should cement the fact that this guy was a fucking hero. Like I said, he suffered from a spinal cord injury that left him paralyzed. He couldn't fucking breathe properly. And yet people still want to shit on him when this is a thing? He full out made a fucking, you know, this was made in his honor. Because he was willing on researching how to fix this in his last few years of him being alive. And people are getting better because of this. And people still want to shit on him because that's not Superman to them. Like, this fucking hurts so much to, you know, hear people say. I just hope that, like I said before, I really just hope that, you know, people look, you know, at this documentary, they watch it and they go, wow, he was actually such a great fucking person. You know, even after he was paralyzed and he couldn't do anything, he was still there to be a hero for people. That he was, in literal essence, a Superman. That he was able to push through all of this. And, you know, just be there for people. I mean, I think there was even a shot somewhere around here. Yeah, here. Where this kid is in a hospital I mean, obviously, I don't know what this kid was suffering from, but you know, he went there for him. Like, he was like, you know what, I'm gonna go and and see this kid, and you'll probably make his world that he got to meet Superman. Like, oh God. But yeah. Anyways, I've been rambling for far too long. I've already gone over 20 minutes. And yeah. I guess final thoughts. I'm really, really excited to see. Oh yeah. Okay. Yeah. See, there you go. Only in theaters September 21st and the 25th. I'm very excited to see this documentary in terms of what it has to show, and I just hope that you guys see it, and we'll appreciate him for what he did for the world, for the landscape of films as a whole, and to really show everyone and to prove once and for all that a man can fly. If it's on film or in real life, it can happen. And this guy made everyone believe that a man can fly. Anyway, guys, hope you guys enjoyed this video. All the socials down in the description below, right there, the server, all of that. I'm probably gonna go cry for a little bit now. I'm not gonna lie. Because, god damn, this fucking broke me. And I'm probably gonna talk about it with my friends later, and I'm gonna cry again. But yeah. Thank you everyone for watching this video, and I hope you all can really, see what this man was to everyone back then and still to this day when this documentary comes out in September, because you bet your ass I'm gonna go and see it. Anyway, I'll see you guys in the next video when I'm feeling a little better. So I'll see you guys in the next one. Live long and prosper. Out.